Thank you, everyone, for having us. Myself and Russell Green. I'm the CEO and founder of YinzCam. We're here to tell you about the reimagined, personalized new Spurs app. So a little bit about YinzCam. So my history, born in India, raised in Africa, grew up on rugby, cricket, and football. Moved to the United States to do my PhD in computer engineering and fell for ice hockey. And once you go into an ice hockey arena, you'll find out quickly, at my height, that everybody else is taller than I am. Everyone else looks like Russell. And that means I can't see anything if a tall guy cuts off my view of the goal, so I wanted something for myself. So 15 years ago, I started a company to look at how you get fans closer to the game. So where in the world is YinzCam today? We build the official mobile apps of 25 NFL clubs, 19 NBA teams, 17 National Hockey League teams, 15 MLS clubs, and on the football side, in addition to MLS, we work with Wolves, Spurs, obviously, Leicester, Brentford, Brighton, and we also work with other football brands such as the Mexican Soccer League, the Mexican National Federation, along with A-leagues in Australia as well. We also work with CONMEBOL on their apps, so a number of different football properties globally. There are 5 pillars in our platform: cards, freestyling, segmentation, personalization, and monetization. We tried to make it fun. What's more fun than Legos? So we tried to make it fun, and we'll go through each of these pieces, and then Russell's going to talk about how these are envisioned in the Spurs app. So let's go look at some of these pillars. Cards. Cards are the building blocks in our universe. So what's a card? Almost anything you think of in a football app. A video is a card. A photo gallery is a card. A news article is a card. Fixtures. Anything. Anything you think of that you need inside a football app is a card. And we've got dozens, if not hundreds of cards. Here are some of those cards. So you can see static cards. Static cards are just an image. Dynamic cards have a data source, which means you take a data source, you take a news feed, a statistics feed, something, and you pump it into the card, and the card then takes on the rendering of that feed. Interactive cards are where the fan is able to change the card. The fan interacts with the card. It's a survey card, a predictor card. You'll see Russell talk about that, and the fan changes the card. SSO-driven is where we integrate with single sign-on and login to personalize the experience further. And AI-driven is where we can automate things like push notification copy and other things like that. Whole bunch of cards. Intentionally, we're showing you all these cards that are powered by a number of different data sources. Some of these are cards that you'll see in the Spurs app. Go download it, and thank you for the download. And you'll see more of these as you go in and start to do styling on brand. This is what we call freestyling. When you actually start to style something to be on brand, and you'll see it infused with pops of color based on the brand, based on the sports club and their code. 3 big pillars here. Segmentation. You've heard the word segmentation dropped on stage a number of times this morning. We think of segmentation as 3 different things. On the left-hand side, you see anytime, anywhere. That's where apps used to be. 15 years ago, when I started the company, apps were the same thing for every fan, no matter where they were, no matter what they did. Those days are gone. The middle bucket, segmentation, I would say 80% of my clients are in that bucket. Different journeys for different fans. The in-stadium fan deserves a different journey from the season ticket member, from the overseas fan, from the Spanish-speaking fan. So it's different journeys for different buckets of fans. The last one is the holy grail. Personalization is where you bring the experience down to the individual fan. There is no sweeter sound to a human being than their first name. You really want to be able to tailor the app to an individual's preferences. And that's what we're looking for in personalization. The title of this talk is around fan-centered personalization. You'll see examples of personalization and segmentation in the reimagined Spurs app, and Russell will take you through those. Segmentation. We have over 200 different segments. Segments for everything: language, device, location, behavior. Somebody watches video, give them more video. Somebody likes news, give them more news. Somebody's a season ticket member, show them something different. So you really want to be able to tailor it to who the fan is, what their behavior is, what their location is, what their language is. And we do that already, and it's done in an automated way. Who we serve, these are the folks we are really privileged to work with. And we consider them a brain trust. What I mean by that is these clients of ours are, in the best possible way, eternally dissatisfied. And we love it. It means that they're always pushing the envelope with us. It means that they're always asking more of us, and we absolutely love that. And we're really, really proud to be able to serve them and to take features across this entire spectrum and be able to deliver it. And finally, on the football side, here are the brands we're really delighted to serve. I wouldn't be standing here without the collaboration and cooperation and, honestly, the fun and the friendship of Russell from Spurs, Sam Gilbert, if you raise your hand, Sam, so we can point you out to everybody and they can ask you all the questions. Arjun, Ben Dello, Sanjeev Katwa, and a number of other people at Spurs. I wouldn't be standing here without my team. It takes a village to do this. I get to talk, but they do the real work. So I'd like to also shout out Rajiv Gandhi, our CTO, Nathan McCoolidge, our VP of Engineering, and Ryan Whittington, our Business Development Executive, without whom I wouldn't be standing here. And we want to show you what the new Spurs app looks like, and then I'm going to turn it over to Russell for his part. And let me turn it over to Russell now.
Thank you very much, Priya. I've got a slightly less interesting background, born about half a mile in that direction, brought up in High Wycombe, not quite as well traveled as Priya. But we came together when I joined Spurs a couple of years ago. And I'd just, again, like to kind of reflect back that sentiment of when you find a provider or a partner that you can kind of work with like we can with YinzCam, it makes things really, really easy. My experience sometimes elsewhere is that you work with suppliers who are trying to fit you into boxes they've already built. What I love about working with these guys is you bring an idea to the table and they either have something already that works for that, or they're like, that sounds great, let's go and build that. And I think that's testament to the team that Priya's built, that we're always looking to do something different. And this app is really the first stage, I would say, the foundations of what we're looking to do, but it's been a really significant step forward. So a few months ago, we launched the updated version of Spurs app. It wasn't new, but it was an updated version. And certainly when I joined, there was that element of we've got an audience in our app, but not many are kind of logged in. It's predominantly the content that you would get off the website or off the social media channels. And quite quickly, we had a conversation with the team, is that where's our right to win? Where is the thing that we can do differently? Because if we're just presenting our latest news, well, the most common feedback from fans is, why would I have the app? I can get that from chosen social media platform. So we needed to create other reasons for fans to come in that was unique to Spurs. And I would encourage any sports team, any sports organization to understand where's your right to win. Because if you try and compete with very well-established news channels or social media channels, you're going to struggle. They spend millions, possibly billions on developing their platforms every year. I'd imagine most clubs don't have that type of budget. So what do you want to do that's different? Where are the areas that you as a club or organization can offer something that no one else can? So the biggest thing really for us was, if you're going to build those things, You've then got to know who people are, and to know who people are, they need to have a profile. Any good digital experience that we will have one that sticks on our phone, you're going to have to create a profile, tell the provider who you are, but it's also a place as a user you can go and almost your digital passport, you can change stuff, you can update stuff, you can personalize stuff, you can tell people who you are. And we wanted to give our fans a place where they could come in and say, in my own time, in my own way, and within my own controls, I want to be able to give you the information that I deem appropriate, and we want to give the reasons for them to hand more of that data over so we can give them better experiences off the back of it. So it all started with a fan profile, that ability to be able to personalize things. Within that, we had things like choose your favorite shirt, put your name on the back of it. Might seem like quite a gimmicky thing, but this gives our retail team the ability to know which fans prefer which shirt. So if we've got offers at a certain time for certain shirts, we can share that directly with the fan based on the shirt they're interested in. They've put the name and a number on the back. We could send a digital version of that over to them and say, there's an offer on this right now. It's these little things that then can change the user experience, so we can change the design based upon which kit they've chosen. It's those little things that say, we've taken this piece from you, but we give you something in the short term back, and also long term we can give you something more kind of insightful. Fan surveys, so we've enabled our fans to tell us who their favourite players are, who their favourite teams are. You know, we've had amazing success of our women's team over the last couple of years. They played in their first FA Cup final a few weeks ago. It might be that we have fans that are only interested in the ladies' team, so why would we prioritise the content on just what the men are doing? So we've given our fans the ability to say which, if they want to have a preference, say which team is their preference, and using the card system, we can then change what they see on their homepage, see the order of stuff. And this is slowly moving us towards that personalisation by segmentation that the guys at YinzCam have made so easy to do. But then there's other things like who's your favourite player? Pick your favourite player. We can stick a reel of all of their content up towards the top of the homepage. Again, your favourite shirt. And this is like, as I said, this is the start. There's so much more we can go in terms of, you could be coming to a game at the weekend, we could ask what your favourite drink is. We could have that drink ready for you when you get here. We're starting simple, but this is going to become much more complex, and we can deepen that personalisation. Badges. Anyone who's been on any kind of gaming platform, or again, any kind of really kind of invested digital program, you want to create those kind of gamification opportunities. You've been here 10 days on the trot. We've got this one where we ask our fans, how long have you been a Spurs fan? Tell us how long you've been a Spurs fan. They tell us, and we give them their fully Coys badge. It tells them how long they've, and we always kind of reference back to that. You've been a Spurs fan for 35 years. Thank you so much for your support. Here's a badge. You can share that onto your social channels. But these things are all what kind of draws people back in. We all know those kind of little hooks of collecting things over time is really important. It's small, but in kind of collection with all the other things, it really builds up to an engaged experience. Supporters clubs, so we really wanted to make sure that we were honouring both our members and our supporters clubs. I'll come on to membership shortly. But the ability to be able to say, I'm part of this supporters club. Within the app, we're looking to move to be able to create supporters club type content specific for supporters clubs, maybe create chat forums for them within the app. That obviously we need to be able to have connections with the supporters clubs, the guys who run it, the admins, allow them to kind of accept or decline people coming into the groups. But how is the app part of all the different types of fans' journeys? And supporters clubs are a huge part of that. So as I mentioned, membership, if you go into your fan profile and you're a member, you can go in there, you get a completely different design. You can see all of your member benefits, member events coming up. We've made this members hub area where we say, we know you. One of the kind of things we would have from our fans is, I'm a member, it's not reflected in my digital experience at all. I want to get hold of my vouchers, but I've got to go on a website, log into a portal, download something. Why can't I just have a QR code within my kind of fan profile? So we've done that. Then we had the predictor. So outside of the game day, we would see that interaction kind of dips off. And I think this is pretty common for any kind of sports team. Game day is the high peaks of kind of interest. But how are you driving interest throughout the week? And we started with this predictor game. It's free to enter for any different fans, but again, depending on the membership level you are at, you get different levels of prizes. So we've worked really closely with our marketing and membership teams on this. Free to enter. Everybody goes into a kind of leaderboard. You participate every week, and over the course of a season, there's a season-long winner, but we've also got monthly winner prizes. So you're driving that regular re-engagement, even if you've kind of fallen behind. And then during the week, we pop that up on people's homepage, reminder that, enter the predictor. It's that kind of fancy Premier League through the week engagement thing. And we've got to look at reasons why people might come back in more often. So we built this as a bespoke product with the guys at YinzCam. It's really, really simple from a business perspective. So we've got to work with our content, our marketing teams. This is like a zero-click solution. It's integrated with Opta. It just updates every week. There's very little lifting that happens with that, and we've deliberately built it that way, so we're not asking our teams to do more work. Now, ticketing is a huge thing for us. One of the biggest complaints you would have of most Premier League fan apps is you don't have my tickets in the app, and quite often it's a link out to a website again, but we were really determined to build tickets in natively. So again, if you are a Spurs fan, you have tickets, you're logged in with the account you buy tickets with, your tickets just appear automatically on your homepage on game day. Now, in a lot of ways, using tickets from the app is not really the priority here. But what does it allow us to do? It allows us to drive segmentation and personalization based on who's coming along on the day, and they would get a very different experience to fans sat at home. And again, depending on the type of ticket, we can serve different things to general admission, to premium fans. We're really moving into the position where every fan is getting a different set of content when they come in. Now, Ticket Memories is a bit of a pet project of mine. One of the things we know about football fans is they love numbers and they love collecting things. And one of the non-digital experiences, which is amazing, is still such a big thing, was that ticket stub collecting. People get out their ticket stub from a game back in the 80s and say, I was there. And so often you will get a big game, for example, with Spurs, that semi-final against Ajax. Number of Spurs fans who say they were at that game compared to the number of fans who are actually at that game is quite different. Whereas what we're giving our fans is the ability to say, I was at that game. This is my digital ticket stub. And not only that, we will populate this digital ticket stub with the match center, the match reports, video highlights. You can go back and look at these games in the past. But we also allow the fans to add their own pictures, their own videos of the day, their own memories of the day, so they can go back through an archive of all the games they've been to, share those with friends on their social channels, or just be able to go back and look through things. And we just see that as a really powerful dynamic. It's just gone live, so it's relatively early days, but we really see this building up authority over seasons. And then at the end of the season, we can do your season with Spurs. So people have uploaded their own pictures, their own videos. We could do almost your year in Spotify type summary based on using this product, driving people on regular weekly activity, but it gives us as a business the opportunity to give something back at the end that's really valuable. And as we kind of mentioned, this now allows us to do this segmentation. So you might be at home in the UK. You might be watching the game at home overseas. You might be one of our supporters clubs watching it at a venue in Hong Kong, for example. You might be at the game in general admission or premium. You're going to be getting a different app depending on who you are. And this is where I think all sports teams want to get to. I think we all have talked a good game, but the reality is I think a lot of team apps are lacking, and I think when I came in at Spurs, we were kind of lacking and not really unlocking the opportunity that was there working with these guys. So that's a whistle-stop tour of what we've done. There's a lot of other features behind it as well. It's been really great to kind of speak to you all about it. If you'd like to download the app and boost my numbers for the end of the season, that'd be fantastic. But also, if you'd like just nose around at what we've done, please do use the QR code and have a little look. So I think we're going to open up the floor now for some Q&A. Has anyone got any questions for myself or Priya? I'll answer the obvious one. I'm 6'8", so you don't need to answer that elsewhere. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Yeah, just shout it out. Yeah.
So obviously, this is what we're talking about through the official channels and what you're doing. Has there been obviously external sort of podcasts and things like this from fan-generated content, obviously growing significantly?
Yeah.
Is this on your sort of radar and trying to, in some way,
Yeah, it's a challenging one because obviously clubs want their kind of own generated content on there. We have launched our own podcast this year. But you're absolutely right, and as a Spurs fan, I listen to many other Tottenham podcasts. It is a topic of discussion about whether we would include some of the most popular Spurs fan podcasts, but also we wouldn't want to take away from those podcasts what they have, which is unique, which is they can have a voice from their perspective. And I think probably from their perspective, if it came within our owned and operated, maybe they'd be under more scrutiny about what they kind of said. And I think maybe there is some of those podcasts would actually fit really neatly into that, but I think it would almost have to be on a one-by-one basis to make that selection. But I'm certainly open to it, yes, because if I'm a Spurs fan, if I could go to one place and get all my Spurs podcasts, that would be great, right? Yeah. Yes.
So, question on the, obviously, two questions. In sort of stadium activations, when it comes down to the fans coming to the stadium versus those that actually watching the games internationally of Spurs have got a major global sort of fan base. And number two, what's in it for fans beyond a typical usual gamification fan engagement when ultimately the biggest asset every club has is its fan base, and fan base translates into data, data translates into money. So the Web3 is all about the creators' economy and the fact that those creating content and those participating should be rewarded, something we haven't seen in Web2, where the big brands including Meta and Google have really been leveraging and monopolizing the market. How's the Spurs going to tackle the issue that sooner or later the Gen Z and Gen Alpha will be asking, if you're making money, if the brands are making money, why am I not making money apart from supporting you?
Yeah, so a couple of questions there just about the kind of segmentation depending on who's kind of where and how we do that. And then the kind of, I think it was about the kind of monetization model and working with fans on that. So in terms of the segmentation around who's appearing at the stadium and who isn't, and you were talking about the kind of, what's the value proposition for fans? And I think the thing we always talk about as a team, there's almost 3 layers. And I think a lot of teams jump some of the layers. When you're building a fan app, you firstly got to be useful. You've got to have a utility. And that's not just tickets. It might be getting hold of customer services. It might be able to, finding out information about traveling to the game, that type of thing. If you're not the authority on the basics, you haven't got the right to then entertain, and then you haven't got the right to inspire. And I think in a lot of cases with some football teams, we jump straight to what's the latest virtual reality, augmented reality, Web3 experience, yet you haven't got tickets in the app. And I think there's got to be a better laddering up of building up an audience, building up a trust, building up the authority and the right to then put these new things in front of them. If you jump straight to the end, generally the perception is not positive. And I think the way we look at it as a team is we've got to get these basics right. I was chatting with some of my old team at the FA earlier, and we kind of, when we were there at the FA, we were talking about brilliant basics from grassroots football perspective. I took the same mantra to this job. We've got to get the basics done brilliantly. Are we helpful? Do we get you to the game? Do we support your journey of being a fan? Before I then bring you the gamification, the augmented reality, potentially the Web3 experiences. And I think we don't want to jump too far ahead right now to get to the end of the story before we've got the beginning right. Hopefully that answers some of those.
Hang on a sec, let me give you a microphone.
Yeah.
That would make it easy for everyone, right? Go for it.
Thank you. And the second question, or part of the question, was the fact is that Web3 is the reality. However you look at it, and that bridge between Web2 and Web3 is actually being built, and I'm with you on the foundation being strong. Ultimately, the new fans will have some sort of expectations of giving their data for you as the club to monetize, for the brands to monetize. And if they're creating content, they're part of the content and create an economy, so they should get a percentage or portion of that pie and that cake that's being built, and it's actually got a financial value. So how are you going to maybe it's 1, 2, 3 years down the line, but how are you thinking now for the future as far as the fans are concerned?
Yeah, we definitely do think about these things quite a bit. I think there's a question as to the models of Web3 in particular, about whether it's the right thing, whether we can actually do some of that in-house without having to lock it into an ecosystem, which not every fan is kind of wanting to engage in. I think we've taken some steps in that direction, some really good steps, some smart steps, and we're kind of feeling and learning those things out. And we've got decisions to make, as you say, in the next few years. In terms of fans having ownership and rights over some of that content creation, I think you're right. The direction of travel with content is much more kind of fan driven as well. But the club will always have an authority and an access and a right to win and the club generated content. But I think we're already making moves to bring some more of that type of content into the app, just not right now. Yeah. Sorry, there's a question just at the back.
Oh, I'm coming. I'm going to pull a hamstring at this rate.
Thanks for sharing that about the app. Really, really interesting. I had a question, which is, how are you exploring activating your brand partners in this app and utilizing the power of personalization? And how is that working in Tottenham? But also for Priya, are there any other partners that you're working with where there's some really good case studies in terms of how they're working with their brand partners?
Yeah, I think it certainly is all of our intention that we want to engage as many fans as possible. More fans, know who those fans are. And I think in terms of those activations, if we're allowed to purely focus on an end user journey and create a brilliant experience, that audience will come. And again, I think it's one of those dynamics that it's quite often got wrong. It's if we create a commercial value proposition and then try and bring fans in on that, that'll work. And I think the evidence suggests that doesn't work. The reality is you've got to ruthlessly eliminate anything that isn't focused on an end user. The biggest tech companies in the world have made their fortunes and made their user bases on having that ruthless focus on what does a user want. Create something that they are linked to, they can't get anywhere else. They get that for free. Then you have the audience, then you have the data that you created, then you can have that conversation. And I think that's the conversation I'd have with our kind of branding and commercial teams, is that let's build something valuable first, then let's have that conversation, rather than have that conversation up front and it ends up getting steered towards serving the wrong kind of factors. Because the reality is what everybody wants is more users and more data on those users. If you give people great experience, that won't be a problem. If you put the other things first, I think it gets slightly muddied and you lose out.
So to continue with that, and I don't know, Russell, if we can go back to the ticket memories. That's actually a really good example. Okay, this one. This is a great example of how you have user data, the fact that you attended a match, the statistics of the match, fused together with potentially your own images to create a keepsake for life. Ultimately, what matters to a human being? A piece of their life that is memorialized forever. The fact that you attended that first match with your kid and you're going to show this to him 10 years from now. It's personal. This is as personal as it starts to get, which is, while you can't always control the outcome on the pitch, you can control the memory of having enjoyed that experience with someone you love. It's things like that that really, really touch on personalization. And how you start looking at the app as a way to memorialize your experience and to continue reliving it no matter when, if that makes sense.
Any more for any more? Yes, got one here. Hi there.
You mentioned the ticketing aspect on the app. Obviously, the stadium hosts concerts as well. How do you have that visibility of the fans who are Spurs fans coming for a match, and also those who are coming for other purposes? And are you able to understand that fan segment?
Yeah, we have a dual club and stadium mode app. So if you're in our app, you can switch to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium mode. And fans who are coming for non-football events can use that. We have a wayfinding solution in there. We have all the latest kind of events coming. From a data perspective, you're brought into the same environment. You're opting into both sides of that conversation. So therefore, we're able to kind of map those audiences across each other. I think the amazing job that the team are doing in terms of bringing in, Beyonce, Pink is playing in a few weeks. We are opening up this building, this absolutely incredible building, to some people who would have never stepped in before. And the crossover actually, quite nicely, is fairly low. We're getting a lot of new people coming in for that purpose. And then when it comes to ticketing, we are working at the moment on being able to have event tickets in there as well. We've started with home tickets, just kind of building these things up in time. But eventually, obviously, the intention would be that you come here for any purpose, you can use that singular app, and any of your tickets to that and any information regarding that is all in one place.
Got time for a few more if anyone has any. Cool, on my way. Getting my steps in, there we go. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much. Very, very interesting. Do you have an area in the app that elite fan or loyalty member can enjoy some benefits or exclusive content or something like this?
Yes. So the membership area is the start of that. But what that membership area allows us to do is then identify the different levels of membership, and then we can start personalizing the homepage based on that. So, for example, if we're hosting a One Hotspur Plus members conversation with a former player, and that event's coming up this week, you can place a card to remind people just on the homepage of those One Hotspur Plus members. So it's rather than creating a singular environment within the app those people can go to, the whole app adapts to whoever you're speaking to. And we do have the membership hub where you go in and can seek out that information, but really we should be turning the homepage into a place where you get the things that are most relevant to you depending on who you are, and that's, as I said, the start of that journey, but we've certainly got the pieces in place now to be able to push that forward.
To add to what Russell said, the homepage is the front door to your app. You want that homepage to feel special, the front door to feel special based on the type of fan. So you can go to members, but it could also now start to get fine-grained in terms of, like I said, language, seat and section, club areas. So now you really can say, based on somebody's behavior, the seat, everything else, their benefits, the front door of the app can change.
Yes, we've got another one here. Thank you.
Really interesting. Thanks for taking us through it. Beyond ticketing, how are you driving downloads? Is it primarily sort of linked to people coming to the event, coming to the stadium, or is it like more globally trying to pull people in for rewards, loyalty, commerce, all that sort of stuff? And what's the sort of the vision for it?
Yeah, definitely. Things like the predictor is again like the first step in that direction. A lot more kind of interaction for fans that are kind of overseas. One of the things we've kind of looked at recently is like an augmented reality portal within the app. So fans who are overseas can almost be brought into an audio-visual experience of what the stadium looks like on game day. Even though you're abroad, you can get in and feel and hear what's going on. There's a lot of things like that we're kind of working on at the moment. The overseas fans' growth is really important to us, and being able to kind of serve them. Again, the kind of different language modes that these guys support is so helpful for that. The ability to be able to identify the language of the user and adapt based on that is another thing that we're kind of working on. I'm saying we're working on a lot at the moment because this release is, as I said, it's the first step of many. We definitely want, in a year's time, in a couple of years' time, this to be the best-in-class leading sports team app in the world. And luckily, we're working with a partner who works with over 180 sports teams worldwide, so we can collaborate with them. And what's really lovely is actually almost part of the YinzCam family. You get to speak to other teams about what they're doing, get ideas from other sports, see what's working in different kind of markets around the world. So we have an idea of what we want to do, but we definitely want to be data-driven, want to make sure that we're doing the things that are working in other markets and learning from that kind of cohort that we're a part of at YinzCam.
Got time for one more, if anyone has a burning question. I'm sure that Priya and Russ will be around afterwards as well, if you want to approach you directly. Excellent. Make it a good one.
Really interesting presentation. Just interested in the term gamification that you used earlier on, and just your thoughts on trialling new products that can look at gaming in terms of inclusivity to include older fans as well, because obviously gamification, a lot of it tends to be focused on the younger fans. Just wondering whether that is something that could potentially interest you.
Yes, yeah, certainly. And I think, again, when you create new ideas and innovative ideas, you're right, sometimes those things can exclude certain groups, and we definitely don't want to do that. It's why actually in this first release, things like a predictor and almost digital ticket stubs was something we felt was pretty universal. There will be things we might deliver that are more focused on different demographics and age groups and interest groups, but we felt like we started with some pretty solid products. You know, we've got a generation that's growing up on things like, you know, Pokemon Go, for example, where they go somewhere and their digital and their real-world experience is blended, and my 7-year-old is all over my phone all the time because every place we go to, he wants to check in if he can catch the latest kind of Pokemon or see what's kind of about. And we've got some ideas around things like that, but you've got to do it well. Again, back to that point of what's your right to win. If you're not going to do something really well, don't do something gimmicky, because it will last 5 minutes and people won't go back to it, and you'll probably lose the trust. Is it connected in with everything else? Is it long-form play? Is it something that gives us new tools to reach different people? Then if it is, we'll do those things. We try to avoid some of the more gimmicky one-off things because it has limited kind of impact. So yeah, I do hear what you're kind of saying, and I think I'm probably edging towards the football fan that's a bit more grumpy about the new things coming along the way, and I've got 3 young boys to keep me honest about what the latest things are, and hopefully they'll continue to do so.
In common with both your questions, the app was redesigned to intentionally serve different segments of fans. Every segment is going to want something different. What a member wants versus an overseas supporter, those are different things. What's going to keep them coming back, different things. So if you look at almost every slide here, it's aimed at a different audience and depth with that audience. How do you keep that audience coming back? And that's the only way you're going to make sure you're inclusive, is not to shut out any segment. And when you think of all segments, think deep in terms of how do you keep them coming back. So almost every feature is aimed at a different segment, if that makes sense.
We're going to have to call it a day, but that was absolutely fascinating. Thank you for taking part in it. Priya and Russell, give it up. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.